We just had a huge order from the Spider Shop arrive. Unbox it together with me right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to Spooderpods. I'm David and today we are doing a huge unboxing of an order we did from the Spider Shop. Me and Sophie were very keen to pick up some new tarantulas, some scenery bits and other bits and pieces we needed, so we thought we would do a very cheeky order and get lots of goodies. We even got a little bonus, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But yes, thank you as always to Spider Shop for the good service. Remember, I have an affiliate link in the description if you want to check them out yourself. We are always happy with their service and think they have a great selection of goodies. As you know, both me and my partner love our spiders, so it's no surprise that in this order we had 6 new tarantulas. We also were very lucky to get a special jumping spider included from the Spider Shop, which will have its own dedicated video. I felt it warranted its own video because it was very exciting for us because we love this species. But we got 6 tarantulas, 1 jumping spider, we got some cork bark, which was a lot bigger than we were expecting. It said small and we got some really big pieces, a couple of new sort of water devices and a few of their sling starter kits. We wanted one as sort of catch cup, we wanted one to use for one of the slings we got, and it comes with little bits of cork bark and bowls, and lots of other goodies. So I'm just panning through now, you can see all the bits and pieces we've got, but as you know, watching this channel, you're going to want to know exactly what tarantula species we got. So I'm going to introduce every single one to you now and how we set them up, and then we'll talk a little bit about the very mysterious jumping spider at the end too. So let's start off with the spiciest new tarantula sling we got, the Summer Pierce Armenia, which is the Brazilian sun tiger. This tarantula has some absolutely beautiful colorations, even as a sling. So when we saw it on the Spider Shop, we couldn't help but pick one up. This one is probably the spiciest sling we've had so far. Sophie was panicking, I was like, and it was very interesting because it's the only one so far that's actually almost escaped from us, and I'm a little bit embarrassed to admit it. We're very good with our rehousings and we have this giant sort of catch box, catch cups on hand, we're both there ready to do it. But this little guy is like a bullet. My goodness, it was so fast, it was insane. So we were rehousing it, we got the enclosure nicely set up. We picked an Entoscapes arboreal enclosure with a sort of thin front opening bit, so because we knew it would be a bit fast and it would need to be very careful doing maintenance. Put the usual substrate in there, got our cork bark, gave it some arboreal elements to enjoy, because it is an arboreal tarantula, although when it's a sling it's semi-arboreal, people say. Got it all set up and it was like, time to get it in there. So we got it out of the vial and it was just teleporting from one side of the tissue to the other. And we got the tissue inside, then it just decided to teleport outside. And it was climbing the walls, and I managed to literally grab it in our little catch box with a catch cup and get it back in. Tried again. And it decided to sit on the bottom of the enclosure beneath the Entoscape little rubber pads. So then I had to lift it, catch cup it again, and then what we did after that is just pop the entire catch cup in the enclosure and let it come out on its own, which is probably the safest option. Annoyingly, the tissue was getting in the way initially, but thankfully using the catch cup was a bit easier. But my goodness, what a fast tarantula. It's completely happy now. It's been exploring the enclosure, we've seen a bit of webbing. It's very happy with the sort of environment it has. It's gone up the side, it's gone into its little burrow. But yeah, beautiful tarantula, but my goodness, what an experience. Next up, we have a Dominican purple, which is part of the Formictopus species, please forgive my pronunciation. And this is something that Sophie really wanted. She specifically requested this tarantula because of the beautiful purple colorations when it gets older. And we actually got slightly bigger than what we expected. We asked the Spider Shop for slightly bigger for the videos, and we got a much bigger one. It's almost juvenile, so thank you for that. This rehousing went quite smoothly. We got the enclosure set up. We went for another Entoscapes cube, this time top opening, because we felt like this sling needed more space because it was a bit bigger. Got it set up with all the usual goodies, a bit of scenery elements, and a nice deep burrow if it needed it. Plus its water dish, obviously, because it needs some water. This rehousing went a little bit more smoothly. It went straight in. It was a little bit cheeky, a little bit fast, but it just popped in and was like, okay, here I am in my new environment. And allowed me to actually take some footage of its beautiful colorations as well, which I was very grateful for. The colorations when it's an adult are very impressive, so we're quite excited to see how this little sling turns out. But even now, as you're probably seeing on the footage, it is a beautiful sling and it has some lovely colorations even as a small one. And that's why I kind of like to have these nice acrylic enclosures from Ento or from tarantula cribs, purely because you can just see your slings. Because a lot of people say you can never see your slings, but that's not true. A lot of the time, unless it's fossorial, you'll get some glimpses of it, and those very important moments you can get your camera out. The next sling we got is a Lasiodora parahybana, which is a salmon pink bird eater. beautiful tarantula. We weren't originally planning to get one, but we just saw one on the Spider Shop and thought, why not, we'll just pick it up. And for this little guy, we decided to use one of the Spider Shop's own enclosures because it's got quite a big leg span, and we were running out of our deep ones, so we're glad we bought them. Set it up the same, gave it its water dish, made sure there was some springtails in there, made sure there was a nice depth of substrate, and gave it a burrow. This little guy was really fast. We were expecting it to be a bit slower, but mega fast. But again, unlike our first first sling introduction, it went in without too many problems. We sort of catch cupped it because it escaped once, and then popped it in, went straight into its closure and was quite happy. This one's going to grow up to be massive. I mean, it's going to be a very big tarantula. We're talking 14 to 20 centimetres leg span. I hope by then we've moved somewhere bigger. If not, we're going to have a very cramped space with these tarantulas. Again, another beautiful tarantula, and we're happy to have it in the collection. We also got a Nandu tripe. Again, forgive me for any mispronunciations, which is a Brazilian blonde. This little fella was one of the easiest ones to get in. Went in the enclosure, quite happy, went into a burrow, no real problems at all. We went for, it was one I bought elsewhere. It's kind of like a acrylic cube with a opaque bottom, because apparently this guy likes to go to the bottom, so I want to give it some privacy. Some people think it's silly, but it does help with the tarantulas, honestly. And then we made sure we set it up with the water dish and all the other stuff we've been giving to everyone else. You know the standard setup with nice deep substrate, places to hide, a bit of leaf litter, springtails, so it can be content and happy, because it is a terrestrial species. Again, another one that's going to get quite big, but it should be okay for a couple of molts in this enclosure. It's basically a 10 by 10 cube. We like this enclosure for this particular species because it's got a nice sliding lid, so maintenance is nice and easy. Again, quite happy exploring, no real issues with this little fella, and we're happy to have it in the collection. Something else we're exciting to add to the collection is a Vitalis chromatus. It's a Brazilian red and white or white striped bird-eater tarantula. This one can get massive too, 20 centimetres, although luckily the one we got was only about a centimetre. And this little fella was very shy, just didn't want to let go of the tissue, took a bit of coaxing off, and then the moment we got it off the tissue, it went straight into the enclosure and hid, and we haven't seen it since. I wanted to give you guys a lot of footage of this little guy, so I'm afraid you just have to have an adult photo now, but it's a terrestrial species, and we put it in a standard arachnospace or tarantula cribs sling enclosure. We want to give it lots of depth of substrate to burrow down into, because apparently they like to do that when they're slings, and this one was no exception. So I'm very sorry for not having much footage of this little fella, but they're incredibly shy. I'd imagine once they get to their full adult size they'll be a lot less so, but all they wanted to do is burrow down and hide, and who can blame them when they've gone into a completely new environment. And lastly, before we get to our special jumping spider, is a Phainopelma chalcodes, which is a desert blonde tarantula. And this is something we were really keen to add to our collection because apparently they are a staple in the hobby, and they're also very docile and always on display when they get to adult size. And we picked a Tarantula Cribs terrestrial sling enclosure for this, so we could observe it carefully and also give it a bit more terrestrial movement before we end up rehousing it after a couple more molts. And it's settled in very well. Again, you know the setup, I can't really repeat the setup. I'll show it on the screen, the terrestrial enclosure. Lots of depth of substrate, all the extra bits and pieces, and it's settled in very well. Just been mostly clinging to the side for quite a while because it was settling in, and then after a while went onto the floor, started webbing a little bit and exploring. But what a beautiful species. When they're adult, they have this lovely sort of desert sand coloration, and even as a sling you can see the sort of hints of that coloration coming through. Obviously that may change between molts, but again, a beautiful tarantula. The last sort of secret surprise, which was a bonus from the Spider Shop, is a pixie jumping spider from South Africa. Now these little guys are absolutely beautiful. They have a lovely yellow coloration. I'm not going to talk about it too much in this video, but I'll show you a little bit of footage of them because I have a dedicated video all about them. But what a beautiful little jumping spider, and very charming, quite rare in the hobby. So we're very excited and happy to get one from the Spider Shop. So thank you very much for that. So those are all the bits and pieces we got. Those are all the lovely new slings and tarantulas and spiders and other things we've added to our collection. Thank you very much, Spider Shop. If you have any comments or questions, I'd love to hear from you down below. But in the meantime, take care and see you later.